Oh, welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. You figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Hello. Welcome in. So much to do, such little time, but there's always time for me. There's always time for you. There's always time for one. There's always time for two games in Philadelphia for the NLDS. At which point we hope the Phillies are going to have a 2-0 lead. Otherwise, this could be very bad, very bad. Phillies-Dodgers this weekend. NLDS. Russ goes to Las Vegas next week. God knows how many shows we're actually going to do at any given time next week. Will there be immediate post-game reaction shows? I have no idea. Don't you dare try to hold me to anything, but we might not. But there will be shows next week. We'll be reacting to whatever the hell happens. I will say I'm slightly nervous insofar as last year when I went to Vegas for this work trip, the Phillies got curb stomped by the Mets. Not thinking that that's going to happen in this series, but it is a slightly scary series. You can certainly let me know how you're feeling about Phillies-Dodgers in the comments over on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And hello to Instagram Live. If you're over on Instagram Live right now and you put a little comment on the video, I don't know if it'll pull up over here or if it'll aggregate here. It actually would be kind of funny to find out. But I can certainly read it. I can see your comments over on Instagram. I can read them off here on the show. I don't know if they'll show up here. I don't know if we'll be able to pull them up on the screen. But we have so much to get to in such little time. Phillies-Dodgers this weekend. VJ Edgecombe made I would say, impressive preseason debut for the Sixers over in Abu Dhabi. There was a story written for The Ringer about, is the Sixers window already closed? Not a great place to start if you're looking for a little bit of positivity around the Sixers. But we also have to talk about the fact Philadelphia Union, I don't know if we'll get there, Union with a win on Saturday can wrap up the Supporter Shield in MLS. Good stuff. But no, we are going to have to talk about your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers. Because I have some concerns. And I continue to have concerns. And the more I watch, the more I feel like my concerns are justified. And I have two. One is Owen Tippett. Two is Sam Ersson. Now, I don't actually think that Owen Tippett is the most concerning player on the Flyers roster. But I do think that he's one that's worthy of having a conversation about. So we'll talk a little Tippett. We'll talk some Ersson. Will we bemoan the fact that the Flyers' defensive core also doesn't look particularly intriguing, and that, you know, the collective mind right now on social media that Emil Andre maybe deserves to be on this team, even though he's been sent down, maybe has a little bit of credibility to it. We could get there a little bit later on as well. But I do want to say hello to everybody out there on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So let's get this thing going first with the most pressing thing that's happening this weekend. And that, of course, is the Phillies series against the Dodgers, NLDS. Everybody's getting excited. Everybody's getting themselves worked up. And there's one thing that I'm actually excited about with this series, because as many of you know, there is just a basic bit of anxiety that you could feel going into a series. Will the Phillies bats actually be alive and awake? Will the Dodgers, having played in the wild card round, ultimately help the Dodgers? Will they be able to stay hot? Will they be able to stick it to the Phillies? And with Shohei Ohtani on the mound in game one for the Dodgers, does it put the Phillies at a massive disadvantage? We could have the conversation about whether or not the Phillies would be better set having Zach Wheeler on the mound and having the wonderful Christopher Sanchez in at game two. Instead, you get Sanchez versus Shohei Ohtani. But there's actually a storyline from the game that I'm even more concerned with. And it's so concerning that I'm actually going to lead off with it. We have to. And I know that maybe it's a little bit of a pun to lead off. The number one storyline that I am focused on ahead of the NLDS is something that was announced today. And it's something that is available to each and every one of you if you go down to the game. The Phillies announced the 999 package, the 999 deal. Now, that might sound familiar. What is the 999 deal? What is the 999 package? Well, it's a special deal that the Phillies are offering this weekend. It includes 9 hot dogs. It includes 9 beers, and you're supposed to eat them and drink them respectively over the course of 9 innings. Now, you might look at that and say, those look like really small beers, and they do look very small. You might then also put together in your little cabeza, well, if it's going to be in the 80s, and I have to drink all these little beers, and if I don't drink them fast enough, they're going to become little warm beers. That is also true, and perhaps you should be worried. Now, tubular meats, if you are a tubular meat enthusiast, you'll know 9 hot dogs is really not that many hot dogs. These are not like the foot or foot and a half long hot dogs that we maybe would see at a Costco. These are just standard size hot dogs. But I said it's the 999 package, and I thought to myself, why does that sound so familiar?
I call it 999. The 999 plan. The first thing that we do in order to get the 999 plan going is we throw out the current tax code. It is broken.
It is broken. The current tax code is broken. Rest in peace, Herman Cain. The 999 plan.
I call it 999.
Hell yeah, you do, Herman. The 999 plan. I want to know, if you're going down to the Phillies game, are you going to participate in the 999 plan? I hope you do. And if you do, make sure you tag me in the Russ Joy Show on Twitter, and we will put out the images and the videos that follow. I love the idea of a 999. I actually love the idea of putting out something ridiculous like this ahead of the postseason. It feels like the Phillies are kind of upping their game a little bit. Yes, there have been battles about Dollar Dog Night, but the idea of having the 999 plan finally coming to fruition in the real world, that's a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful thing. I'm glad other people, by the way, picked up on the Herman Cain thing right away. 999. All right, so that's a lot of fun. Now, what might not be fun? I was listening to Phightin Words this morning, part of the Joy Media Network, which you can find on the Joy Media YouTube. You can find on the Phightin Words YouTube channel. You can find in your favorite podcast app. I was listening to Anthony Sanfilippo and to Big Bet Bob Wankel, and they were talking about the fact that you've got Marsh in a critical spot in this lineup. You have Kepler contributing in a somewhat meaningful way down the stretch, but Marsh really has had a great 3.5 month stretch. But like, he's supposed to be a bottom third of your lineup guy, and yet he's being relied upon heavily. Now, we talked on Wednesday about the fact that Rob Thompson made very clear Trey Turner will be your leadoff hitter. We don't know where Bader's going to end up. We don't know if Bader's going to end up being like, could they drop him into the bottom third of the lineup? And since he had some really hot streaks, do you look at it and say, listen, if we put him in the bottom third of the lineup, he'll be able to get this thing turned over and then back to Turner, and maybe Schwarber's going to hit 2, Harper hits 3. Are you going to go Marsh followed by like Real Muto? What's it going to look like? We'll find out soon enough. Am I concerned? That really is the biggest question. Am I concerned about the Phillies-Dodgers series? Of course. And the Dodgers are favored, and they should be. And when you went into the season, the thing that we were all kind of bemoaning was the fact that the Dodgers appeared to be kind of circumventing the salary cap. And there is no salary cap. But they seem to be circumventing this like honor system among teams by giving heavily deferred money. And it does feel like it is a landscape changing type of structure of a contract to hand out. And if Major League Baseball does nothing, which to this point they haven't, to change the rules, it could create a fundamental imbalance between the haves and have-nots. Now, the Phillies should be a have, and to some extent have been a have. They are not a poverty franchise like the Pirates. And at the same time, you do wonder if the Dodgers were to go back-to-back, if they were to advance past the Phillies, win the World Series with a massive payroll, but part of that payroll being heavily deferred, it will kind of call into question whether this league is still fair and balanced or not. And we can approach that at some point later on in the postseason if they were to advance past the Phillies. But the big concern right now, to me, isn't even the rotation. We heard Rob Thompson, I think, on Wednesday say that he's kind of leaning to like an Aaron Nola in Game 4, which I'm sure isn't great news to Walker Buehler, who thinks he deserves a spot. No, the real issue at hand is the bats. If the Phillies lineup is able to get anything going in a meaningful way, this series has the legitimate chance of going either the distance or potentially could the Phillies wrap this one up on the shorter side of things. I'm not positive. I'm not throwing a whole lot of money in on the Phillies getting this thing done in short order. In fact, I'm not putting any money on this series. I refuse to. It's not a win-win. Some people will bet on the Dodgers because they'll say, all right, well, if the Dodgers win, at least I profit off it. And if the Phillies win, then in my heart and my tum-tum, I feel much better about the fact that my team ultimately won. I wouldn't put down money on this series. I actually am greatly fearful of what could happen. Do I think that the Phillies rotation is going to keep them in the series? I do. I think that no matter what, you're going to have strong starts out of Philly starters. But man, if the Dodgers jump on Christopher Sanchez and Shohei Ohtani goes out and starts spinning up scoreless innings like he did the last time these teams met, it will be a concern. Now, so much of the momentum of the series comes down to the Phillies at home, where they have been absolutely almost unbeatable the last few years in the postseason. The real question comes down to whether or not they can get anything going off Ohtani. And if not, how quickly can they get Ohtani out of the game? If he's in there for 7 strong innings, 7 scoreless innings, the Dodgers bullpen sucks. But are you feeling really confident about being able to flip whatever number you need to get up on the board across the 8th and 9th inning? I'm not sure. If the bats actually show up the way that they should and the way that they have come up short in the last few years, if the Phillies are able to right that wrong, course correct, and prove that, hey, not having that wild card series ended up being a benefit, they got even healthier, they're more well-rested, and they're ready to lock in and get going, well, then cool. If the Phillies bats start off rusty, the first thing you're going to hear, the first thing that you're going to see on social media is, here it is again, higher seeded team doesn't play in the wild card round and the bats are cold. I hope that between the inter-squad scrimmage and all the work that they're doing behind the scenes to try to keep the bats locked in, keep the bats hot, I hope it pays dividends. There is nothing better than a nice, deep Phillies playoff run. Nothing. Flyers come back next week. Sixers are on the precipice of coming back, and we can all laugh about it, but they're on the precipice of coming back. The Union, if you're a big Union fan, could wrap up the Supporter Shield this weekend. We have a very nice window here, very good things happening. And by the way, you wouldn't know it from Sports Talk Radio, but the Eagles are undefeated and have a very legitimate chance to go into next Thursday night's game, remaining undefeated with a chance to go 6-0 to start the season. So things are actually going pretty well in Philadelphia. The Phillies can ride a legitimate wave of momentum, but it all starts with game 1. I am not going to be the hyperbolic person who says if the Phillies don't win the first 2 games, it's all over. The Phillies have to at least win 1. And I would make the argument that game 1 is probably more important as a tone setter. There will be some who would say if you're going to split, you would rather get game 2 so you can ride the momentum into LA. Obviously, the goal here is win both at home, go out to LA, see where the chips fall. We will see. I'm actually interested to know where people are at right now. So you can let me know in the comments. Connor Buss says, going to be watching game 1 and the Union on 2 screens. What a Saturday night if they both win. The problem is, I think we all remember this years ago, right? The Union were in MLS Cup final. And that's when Mbaizo lost Bale on the far post in extra time to force a penalty shootout that the Union lost. And on the same night, the Phillies were eliminated from the World Series. So that was not a great night. I don't always love when the Phillies and the Union have postseason aspirations of some kind on the same night, but it could be a really big night. Connor also says, Trey not being able to steal is not ideal. I will say, I tend to agree. Not the best outcome. We'll see how his leg's doing, though. We will see. Jay Grabby's here, says, good afternoon, Russell and Russettes. I'm late. Did Russ already talk about trading Tippett? No, that's later on in the show. And soon, because I actually have 2 voices that are going to be hopping on the show here in a little bit. I don't know where they stand on Owen Tippett and on Sam Ersson, but we're going to get there in a little bit. Ford, who's been our resident Negadelphian around the Phillies and the bats, says Ford feels good. I can't stand LA, so I'm going to be vociferously rooting against the Dodgers. Vociferously is the word of the day here on the Russ Joy Show. Fantastic stuff. Let's see. Zero Cool 78. I don't recognize the name. So Zero Cool, thanks for being here. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Says lineup should be Bader, Schwarber, Turner, Harper. Extra day rest helps the Dodgers. Let's go, Phils. Bader, Schwarber, Turner, Harper. I don't think they'll do it. I think it's more likely that you see Bader fall to 6 or 7, which I'm not sure I love. I wouldn't actually be opposed to the idea of having Turner, Bader, Schwarber, Harper. That wouldn't bother me. I actually could get behind it. If you wanted to go Turner, Schwarber, Bader, Harper probably doesn't have quite the same impact. I want to see Bader get on base. I still think that there's a really good chance that they could. Just imagine the terror on the base paths. I get that Turner's not going to be at 100%, but just imagine Turner and Bader on base for Schwarber and Harper. And you have to imagine that Harper at this point is going to be as locked in as he can possibly be. He's been a big performer in the postseason for them. He knows that this is where the stars make the moments that make their legacy, that ultimately lead them into the Hall of Fame. He's had some of those moments for the Phillies. If you can get a whatever version of healthy Bryce Harper you can into this postseason, if Harper can carry the day in game 1 and even in game 2 and get this team set up for success to even move on to the NLCS, it'd be a hell of a thing for them. Thompson has some real decisions to make in the lineup. It's not as cut and dry as it usually is. Maybe. Okay. Look at this. Says split the bats, take pitches, but pleasure. Love the show. Thank you, Zero Cool. Thank you. I appreciate you. Look at this. A little bit of positivity. Joe Fisher says, I hope the team hasn't been sitting too long for the bats to go cool off and try every at-bat to hit a home run. Just put the ball in play. That's the big thing. The Phillies in the past, we've seen it, especially last year. Remember, the Phillies played like 500 baseball down the stretch last year, and it was disastrous to watch, right? That was bad. And then they got to the playoffs against the Mets in the wild card round, and it looked like they were gripping the bats so tightly, and they were trying to play hero ball every at-bat. They just have to let the game come to them. It's going to be hard against Ohtani, though. I mean, Ohtani's a sensational two-way threat. And on the mound, Ohtani has had real success against this squad. We'll see how it goes. You have to imagine that Red October, you have to imagine that the atmosphere in that park is going to be next level. If Christopher Sanchez gets you like a 1-2-3 inning to start, you start to ride that momentum, the crowd gets on Ohtani, we'll see how it works out. I want to believe that this Phillies team is different. I feel substantially better about the Phillies going into this postseason than I did last year. Remember, last year, I had all the bad vibes. Last year, I was very worried about 500 baseball Phillies who couldn't put their foot on the throat of the Mets, and who ultimately had that foot taken off the neck, off the throat of the Mets, got flipped upside down, got power bombed, and then got put in like the Scorpion deathlock and had to tap out to the Mets. I feel better about this, even though this Dodgers team is a substantially better team than that Mets squad was a year ago. Now, I am going to field the opinions now. We're going to bring on the peanut gallery. Two of the people who here are part of the Joy Media family here. We're going to bring them on. We're going to bring both of them on. God help us all. I have no idea what's going to happen. First, we have video guy Amedeo. Amedeo, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Excited for tomorrow. Very excited.
Oh, a little happy, a little positivity. And I'm also going to bring on somebody who we're going to be weighing in on the Flyers with a little bit. Intern Andrew is here. Intern, is this the first time you're on the show?
This is my Russ Joy Show debut.
Intern Andrew, baby. How you feeling?
I feel okay. I mean, I'm obviously still reeling about what happened to me last Saturday, but
sorry, we don't talk about the Nittany Lions on the show.
I don't want to talk about them.
I'm sorry. You're surprised that James Franklin came up small in a big game?
I'm not.
That's shocking to you?
It's becoming increasingly more and more difficult to defend them with each passing day. I mean, they let me down every time. Time is a flat circle. So I'm ready to move on to hockey.
Before we get to hockey, do you have any thoughts on the baseball?
I think the Phillies will win in 4.
Really?
Yes. I think they'll be okay. You also, like you mentioned, like the problem with them last year was that they didn't play in the wild card round and the bats went cold. You also have to remember, like, the Phillies were the only team with the first round bye last year that lost. Yeah. And it was just the Mets just had that unbelievable run. I think the Dodgers obviously have all of the talent in the world, but they were pretty mediocre the last couple of weeks of the season. They basically had a bye week these last 2 days. Cincinnati was a bad team. So
since he was terrible.
I think they can get to Ohtani early, and then with Sanchez, and then I'm assuming Suarez will go in game 2. They'll drop game 3, and then they'll pick it back up in game 4 and win, and then we'll see what happens between the Brewers and Cubs. But that's my prediction.
The real question is you have to worry, will another NL West team try to go after the umpires like we saw happen with the Padres? Did you see what happened? The Padres trying to, I mean, we're not going to say that they tried to assault the umps, but it wasn't a good look.
Well,
at all.
I mean, hopefully my dad's not listening to this because he's a big Cubs fan. Here's the thing. The Padres were kind of in the right for that.
Really?
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
The strikeout in the 9th inning. That was a ball. That was ball 4. They would have had the bases loaded with nobody out. Like, let's be real. But, I mean, whatever. I mean,
we're going to play this for the people who might not have seen it because this was after the game. This is as the umpires were leaving through the dugout. The Padres, man, they were ready. They were ready, and they wanted blood. Look at this. Just watch. Watch this play out. So they all start to meander down, and then I don't actually know who it is that, like, this is the concern right here, all right? Because, like, there's, like, some walking over, you know, maybe exchanging some words. This ump gets into it, and then this dude flies up over the top. Next level, just pettiness. Now I get it. You're frustrated. You lost. You're out. It sucks. But I don't know if that's the right way to go about it.
It's definitely not. Obviously you can't do that, but they got screwed. But what are you going to do? We don't have to worry about it in the future because now we're going to have robot umps next year.
That is true. I look forward to it. Amedeo, how you feeling about the Phils?
I'm feeling good. I think it goes 5. I don't think it goes 4. Really? I think it comes back to Citizens Bank Park. And a lot of people are scared of the Dodgers. It's rightfully so, and also rightfully, I think some people are being a little too irrational about this series. Mm-hmm. The Phillies were very good in the second half following the All-Star break and the trade deadline. They found some spark. And I believe Phightin Words brought this up earlier. The Phillies have been one of the better teams in baseball when it comes to playing against teams that were above 500 this year. And the Dodgers, obviously, they won both series against the Dodgers in the early season and at the end of the season. And they've proven that they play better when the games get late, and all you really have to do, this Dodgers bullpen still sucks, adding Roki Sasaki to the bullpen or not. As long as you find a way to get Ohtani out of the game early, get Yamamoto out of the game early, get Snell out of the game early, you'll be good. And I think it also comes down to which manager overmanages more, Rob Thompson or Dave Roberts. And Dave Roberts has a very bad habit of overmanaging in the playoffs.
I think the Dodgers are going to win. I want to be wrong. I really do.
Don't say that.
Listen, I think that this could go 5. I think that there's a path to the Phillies winning. Nah, you know what? I could actually see a Dodgers sweep.
It's definitely the toughest team they played against in this entire postseason run.
I could see a Dodgers sweep.
Really?
No, I can't.
Well, who's
Phillies in 4? I think it'll be Phillies in 4. I am just concerned because Game 1 to me, what's one thing that we know they can't complain about tomorrow? The shadows. The shadows are out.
Right. 6:30.
If I have to hear a single thing about shadows from now until the end of the postseason, I'll lose my shit. No shadows tomorrow. I don't know what the excuse is going to be. Shohei, if they can even get 2 runs up on Shohei, I'll feel pretty good about their chances. Even if even if Christopher Sanchez gives up 3-4 runs, but you got 2 on Shohei, I still like their chance of being able to come back. But if Ohtani's getting through these innings quickly, efficiently, and he goes 7 deep, then I worry. I think Game 1 is probably the most critical game of the series because it sets the tone for the rest of the series. If you lose a close one in Game 1, you blow out the Dodgers in Game 2, then maybe you feel a little bit differently. But as of right now, you got to prove that you can at least get something off of Ohtani because the last time out was brutal. Connor Buss is right here, by the way. Wheeler versus Ohtani would have fed generations. It is a shame. Like, of all the people that aren't going to be in this series, it is a shame that we don't get to watch Zach Wheeler go out and duel Ohtani. That actually does suck. And obviously it had a cascading effect on the rotation as a whole. But I think the Phillies in 4 is like a doable thing. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 5. And that's ultimately where Red October is going to come into play. Like, if I will implore Phillies fans to do one thing and one thing only. If things aren't going well in Game 1, if Ohtani is absolutely cruising, do not turn on the team. If the bats go cold, don't boo the guys off the field for the first 3 innings. You have to do something to prevent that place from becoming a library. And that's always my fear. And the reason that I'm fearful is because, again, we talked about this on Wednesday, the tickets are so expensive. These are not your normie fans. These are not your families going down, getting loud, getting crazy. The little kids are cheering from the upper decks. This is going to be a different kind of crowd. Sometimes that corporate crowd doesn't react well to falling behind. I would love to see a scenario where the home field advantage really does play to the Phillies' advantage, but we will see, guys. All right. That's it on the Phillies. Oh, actually, before we move off, I brought up the plan a little bit ago, the hot dog plan. What was the name of it again?
I call it 999.
Thank you, Herman. Thank you. So the 999 plan, guys, I want to know, could you get through the 999?
In a cocaine heartbeat, as Peter Minahan would say.
Wow.
In a cocaine heartbeat. I wouldn't do it during a playoff game, but
you wouldn't do the hot dogs or the cocaine?
No, well, neither. I wouldn't do the challenge
okay.
during a playoff game. I'd be too locked in. During a regular game against like the Twins in July, 100% I could do that.
So just for those who might have joined the show a little bit late, this is what it looks like. 9 hot dogs, 9 little beers. Amedeo, you think you can knock this out?
No. I get
what would be harder for you?
I don't drink alcohol to begin with, so
that'd probably be the hardest part then.
Yeah, alcohol would be the hardest part. And hot dogs, after a few, I do tend to get sick after. So
you got to puke and rally. So puke and rally on the hot dogs is what.
And it doesn't work with the playoff anxiety. Also.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would probably fast for like 36 hours before, and then does it have to be Yingling? Because I don't know if I could do 9 Yinglings in 2.5 hours.
Well, I could see nine lagers, if they were still cold, would be doable. Although I hate how I feel after I drink beer. You would never know I grew up in Pottsville, the home of Yingling. It should be like coursing through my veins. I should pretty much be immune to beer, and I don't like how I feel after it. I would actually replace that. Could I get seltzer? Could I get a White Claw to replace my 9 beers? Could I get
that's alcohol though?
Could I get 9 whiskey cokes? Could I get I would feel much better. I mean, if we go on the size of these beverages, right? There's gonna be some ice in there. So you're probably talking about like 2.5 whiskey cokes. I'd rather go that route or the White Claw or something like that than 9 beers. I think the 9 beers is where I would like 9 hot dogs, 9 tubular meats. We're good. That's done. It's quick, pretty painless. 9 beers though. That's my line of delineation.
9 whiskey cokes. I think we'd be carrying you out of Citizens Bank Park.
Nah, see, that's where my body steps up. You know, it's those kind of moments that my body lives for. They're few and far between these days, but when it is time, my good old liver shows up.
You can do it on the Press Row show where Russ can test this theory.
Oh, that would be great. Except the Flyers would not be thrilled if I were throwing back 9 whiskey cokes.
Especially that close to the ledge.
Yeah. Well, you know, if somebody's trying to get rid of me, it would make their life a little bit easier, I guess. 9 White Claws I could do. Because again, they're not big glasses. They're like wee little. So like here's your reusable Starbucks cup here, right? So like if this is the amount of how many ounces? If let's just say that this is how much goes into the 9 beer, right? They're all little glasses. They're just tiny. So I don't know. 9 White Claws, that's fair.
Are they not like a regular 12-ounce beer?
They don't look like it. I mean, here, let's
look like it.
Well, then let's
go back. Well, hold on. Whoop. I don't know how we only got Amedeo there. Hey, Amedeo, how you doing? How you doing?
Hello.
Hold on, let's see. Hold on, let me take this down and then bring it back. Whew, there we go. They don't look like full-size beers.
Oh, that's not it. Yes.
I think they look almost like the stemless wine glasses, right?
But you can't tell with the cup holder. That's the problem.
That's fair. Well, I mean, even if you go by the size of the hot dogs, I will say though, that's a girthy hot dog down here. Some of these look like normal tubular meats. This one looks like it was like crunched in the pack or something. That's a thick hot dog. And if that's number 9, that one's gonna rock you a little bit.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Does size matter? I think yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Size matters according to Intern Andrew. Let me ask you guys.
Oh, I just posed the question.
Size matters according to Intern Andrew. Does the size of a guy's vertical leap matter in basketball? Do we agree that the leap matters?
Probably.
Because, and I'm going to make you guys, I don't even know where you guys stand on basketball, but I am going to throw out a real quick thing that came out of the Sixers' first game in the preseason in Abu Dhabi. because VJ Edgecombe was asked a question. I forget where the reporter is from, which outlet the reporter's from. I think he says Hong Kong. But VJ Edgecombe had a really strong preseason debut. He almost posterized the guy in like the most vicious way possible. And as everybody knows, my favorite player growing up, I'll go back here real quick. My favorite, oh my God, not Amedeo. Amedeo, go away. Oh, Jesus. Okay, let's do that song. Maybe I have to do it like this. There we go. My favorite player growing up was none other than Air Canada, Vince Carter, half man, half amazing. And for better or worse, there's never really been anybody to take up the mantle. Some would argue Derrick Rose had that in him. Some would argue like Russell Westbrook had the same kind of hops. But VJ Edgecombe looks fantastic, unbelievably athletic. So I want to throw out here real quick to this question that was asked of him after the Sixers preseason game, where Edgecombe had a really strong performance. Listen to the comparison. I've already given away who the comparison is to, but look at his reaction. I like this kid.
Hong Kong, many fans was attracted by your powerful dunk, and they think that you may be the next Vince Carter. How do you think?
That's elite. Yeah, that's elite comp. But I'm VJ, man. But the comparison is cool. But I just want to make the dunk.
I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know how much you guys care about basketball on the whole. I'm a big basketball guy. I like Edgecombe a lot. Ace Bailey was the player that a lot of people wanted. His agent ended up getting him drafted to Utah unintentionally, and now that agent is looking for another job. Are you guys believers at all in young VJ Edgecombe, in Tyrese Maxey, in like maybe 50 games of Joel Embiid, 20 games of Paul George? Do you guys believe?
No.
No.
I don't even watch basketball, and it's a no from me, dog.
Okay. Well, that's.
I mean, I'll have fun watching the young guys play, minus Jared McCain, because now he just can't not be injured. But I like Maxey. I like VJ. Embiid. How much are Embiid and Paul George realistically going to play? More people are going to go to watch the black jerseys. That's what they're going to watch.
That's correct. So Connor Buss is right. Sixers have a knack for drafting likable guards recently. Everybody loves Maxey, right? Guy has a smile that lights up a room. Jared McCain, really well liked. Seems like a really good kid. He'll be out 4 to 6 weeks with the UCL tear in his thumb, right? So that's unfortunate. Edgecombe, though, man, I get excited thinking about the athleticism. He had a 3-pointer in this game, and I know it's the first preseason game, it doesn't matter, but he had a jab step to a 3, and it looked eerily reminiscent of like a young Jimmy Butler, and that's been one of the comps that we've seen out there. If you get like an additional elite level guard added to this rotation, and you're able to get any modicum of consistency out of Embiid and Paul George in a absolutely decimated and decrepit Eastern Conference, the Sixers could, believe it or not, be the 3rd best team in the conference. I don't actually like the Cavs. I don't think the Cavs are ever real. Cavs could go win 60 games, and I'm not going to believe in them. Orlando, probably top-end team. The Knicks, going to be very good. Other than that, unless Jason Tatum, this video is to be believed of him in the gym kind of working out, I don't see a path for the Celtics. And I'm not exactly convinced that there's another great team. Indy's going to be without Tyrese Halliburton. They're pretty much out of it.
Is he out the whole year still? Or
I believe so.
I think he and Tatum both are.
Well, Tatum, though, is releasing the video of him like working out on the court. The Celtics put it out. Would I be surprised if he's back for the end of the year? No, because if you're already back at that level, of physical exertion, it makes me think that he might be coming back sooner than later. But obviously, if you're the Celtics, you have to make sure that he is 100% healthy. You don't rush back from an Achilles tear. The likelihood of you re-tearing that and then missing a full season obviously increases exponentially. I have to go, though, to a team that we are all here to talk about. We talked about the Phillies. We talked about the 999. We talked about young VJ Edgecombe. But we have to talk about your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers. They're back on the ice to start the regular season next week. Gents, Sam Ersson stinks. And he has been exceptionally stinky this preseason. And last night, Sam Ersson had yet another stinky performance. And if you were looking for Sam Ersson to maybe start to kind of calm your nerves a little bit, hey, you know what? Alexei Kolosov is out of camp. Carson Bjarnason's out of camp. It's just him and Vladar, baby. It's just him and Vladar. Fedotov is gone. The Iron Giant's gone. It's going to be all great. It's going to be so great for the Flyers. Ersson plays the entire game against the Islanders, including former Flyer Maxim Shabanov, who scored a goal. Sam Ersson gives up 4 goals on 27 shots. And I sit back, gentlemen, and say, this is bad, bad, very bad. Your thoughts, 610-632.
Who's starting? Am I starting?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think that a couple of different things can be true at the same time. I think we can say that they're going to be bad and miss the playoffs, but that doesn't mean that like it's not going to be fun to watch them, at least in some capacity. We know that the goaltending stinks, so like that's just not going to be fixed this season. But like you can still focus on other things and the people that like are there, like with Zegras and Drysdale are back together for the first time. They extended York, so that I think York, Drysdale, and Zegras are all like friends behind the scenes. Because York is from Orange County. They work together in the offseason. Mitchkov is obviously great. And then you have to take it for what it is. And what it is like they're like a lot of their best players are just not there yet. Like Mortone and Nesbitt aren't going to be there this year. So like when we over the course of the offseason released our when we were in whatever month that was, when we were there for rookie camp in Voorhees, and we were releasing those interviews, we had like June or June, whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
We had however many guys on, these young guys coming on, 5, right? So I'm like, even if it's just like 2 or 3 of these guys actually pan out and are legitimate NHL regulars, I think that they're going in the right direction. So I would just say, when you're watching them, don't necessarily expect them to win, but at least, take it for what it is. And what it is I think they're going in the right direction. And so like when Michkov gets a hat trick, get excited about it, but like I would say for, if you're holding your breath for this team to make the playoffs, I would say you can probably start breathing. They're not going to.
They should breathe. You should breathe. Otherwise you're going to pass out is what you're saying.
I would get a healthy serving of oxygen.
Before I get to you, Amedeo, Carl Bradley, who I'm going to say I appreciate tremendously over on X, says fully agree with Russ. Sam is a mess. Either Vladar steals the job, Kolosov shocks and comes up, and Sam is dumped, or the season is off the rails before Christmas. Amedeo, where are you at? All right, like where have you historically been on Ersson, and where are you out on Ersson now?
Ersson, he's a guy that was forced into a role that he just wasn't ready for. I mean, the Carter Hart situation aside, like he was forced into that situation, not from his fault, but he just isn't made to be a starter in the NHL. When you have an actual goaltender ahead of him, he could be a reliable backup for you. He's a backup being played into a starter, which is just not what he's supposed to be. And especially now with a defense that has a lot of question marks in front of him, where you have some guys down on the forward core that are going to be very exciting, but some guys, especially a line like a Zegras and a Mitchkov, that are not going to be good in their own defensive zone. There's probably going to be some very bad goals that he allows. And because I was there last night, and the one goal that he allowed, like right after the Flyers took the lead, allowed it right back. It was just simple 5-hole that he allowed. It's just like, that can't go in. Like I
wasn't locked in.
I can excuse the 2-0 because that's usually never a goalie's fault, but it's just, and then the Shabanov goal was a redirection, but and the goal that he allowed late, it was a good play by the Islanders. You got to make a save there, especially that late in the game to try to force overtime. It's just when you need to make the save, Ersson is not able to make the save. That's the problem.
He isn't even you talk about goalies who are on the upper echelon. They're goalies who can steal you a game, who can win you a game. Then you have another tier of goalies who, if everything's going well, can keep you in games. And that's honestly what the Flyers need more than anything this year, is a guy who can keep you in the game. If the forwards are performing at the level that you expect of them, probably going to win some games. Defense is going to have some breakdowns. You're going to have to make a couple of saves that you probably shouldn't otherwise have to make. But if you have a goalie who can keep you in games, they could be a bubble playoff team. Because I'm still not convinced that the Eastern Conference as a whole is that great either. But then you have this other tier where it's like they don't keep you in the game, but they don't actively cost you the game. So it's like tier 3. And then there's tier 4. Actively lose you games. And Sam Ersson right now feels like he's somewhere between 3 and 4. There was a time where it felt like he was a very solid second tier. He could keep you in games. And when he took over for Carter Hart at the end of the 23-24 season, at a time that he was not expected to have to take on the lead role, he did okay, all things considered. His first full season as the Flyers starting netminder did not go well because of injuries, and he probably fell from being a tier 2 guy to like between tier 2 and 3. And I know that we're not supposed to get read too much into the preseason, but you watched him in the Four Nations last year and he looked good. You watched him come back into the NHL and you go, not great. The preseason's been really bad. There have not been a lot of encouraging signs. I really do think that he's starting to fall into the category of a guy who loses you a game. And that's even understanding that this Flyers blue line isn't exactly great, but he's not helping his cause. And I don't know what they're going to do. If he gets hurt again, right? You can pretty much guarantee the Flyers will be done with him. They're going to try to develop Bjarnason in the A. The goal is to have Kolosov play some significant games in the A. You have Vladar signed for another year. He's supposed to be your backup. I won't be surprised if Sam Ersson is gone come 26-27. I put out an idea over on Twitter today. He makes $1.45 million this year, does Sam Ersson. He's an RFA after this season. I don't know if there's another goalie in the National Hockey League who has the kind of variance potential in salary, in AAV, going into restricted free agency next summer. Because if he's good, well, then it's not the sky's the limit, but he could get himself a nice, healthy raise on that $1.45 million. But if he's as bad as he looked last year and as unhealthy as he was last year, as unpredictable, as unavailable, there's a non-zero chance that he is pretty much flatlined at that 1.45. If it's up to you guys, if you have to kind of put on your prognosticated caps, is Sam Ersson going to finish the season as the number one starter for the Philadelphia Flyers?
I mean, I would just guess yes, because if it's not him, then who is it going to be? You say, but Kolosov's not any better than he is. So
I think that by mid-season, I think there's a good chance by mid-season, if Kolosov is playing well in the A, and Ersson gets hurt, I could see it.
Or if Vladar goes on that stretch that he played at the end of last season, maybe he takes over the number one spot.
Vladar played really well down the stretch for the Flames. And so I think that is going to be the question. If they are in that bubble territory that they were 2 years ago under Torts, if they are in that bubble zone with 15, 20 games left to play, and Vladar has been giving you really solid starts, and he's been more of a tier 2 keeping you in the game, and Ersson's kind of in that 3-4 level, I agree with Amedeo. I think there's a path to Vladar being the guy down the stretch. Will it be a failure for this Flyers team if Vladar lives up to his billing as a really strong, solid backup, but Ersson is a disaster as the starter? Would that go down as a failure to you guys?
Well, I feel like the only way to consider it a failure is if your expectation is that Ersson is going to be that guy. And I don't think any of us expect him to be the guy. So it's I'm not going to be disappointed because I already know that. We can all be pleasantly surprised, but I'm just not, for it to be the Mets were a failure because everyone expected them to make the playoffs because they have all these great players. Ersson is, I don't think anyone thinks that he's going to be that. I'm just looking at his numbers over the years. The 23-24 season, we had Carter Hart for how many, until January or something like that?
It was up until January, yeah.
So he wasn't even playing that much in the beginning, and he still finished with 50. Ersson had 51 games that year.
Yeah.
Which is nuts, just how much he was playing. So it's just the reality of the situation is he can't be playing in that high of a volume. Yeah. So I'm you're saying well, what if Vladar does this? Well, I mean, if he does, then great. But I'm predicting that he doesn't. So no, like I said, I'm already expecting them to not make the playoffs. So no, I won't. It's not a failure because I think that's where their expectation's at right now.
Amedeo, your thought. Will it be a failure if the Flyers' target of Vladar ends up being the backup they expect him to be, but Ersson stinks?
No, because I feel like the general consensus is that Ersson is not a starting caliber goaltender. So if he puts up what we expect him to, which is not good numbers, you can't really consider that a failure. The only thing, I don't even know how you could consider it a failure. I guess it would be a pleasant surprise if somehow halfway through the season he's playing well and he has a save percentage above 905. I would be surprised about that.
When's the last time Ersson got to a 900 save percentage? Wasn't it like his second year in the league? It was a long time ago. That's where I'd say that's the stat of the night by Intern Andrew. I'm pretty sure he's only sniffed a 900 save percentage like once, right? Yeah, it was 12 games in 22-23. He had an 899 save percentage. The season that he had to fill in for Hart, it was 890, and then last season when he was supposed to be the starter, but he only played in 47 games because of injuries, he had an 883. It's not good. I mean, like he is objectively not a starting caliber goalie. I guess my concern here is like, if Vladar is a good backup, that's fine, but you should have done better than Dan Vladar, if that's the case, right? Like having a really good backup that you signed to be a really good backup is great, but then if your number one isn't a true number one, did you kind of screw yourself? Like, I don't think Tocchet came here expecting that, like, all right, we're going to be a bottom of the conference kind of team again. And I don't think they're going to be. But if you go into a season with two backup goalies, I don't know what else you could expect to have happen.
But where are they going to get him from? This other goalie.
Trade, free agency.
Well, you right, but free agency, you like teams aren't just letting like good, reliable goalies walk normally because there's so few of them. They're such a commodity. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's not like you can just like go to the waiver wire in fantasy hockey and just pick up like everyone is holding on. It's pretty rare that you're just going to find a really, really good, reliable number two or even potential number one just in free agency. So, like, I was on the Aiden Hill train last year, but that's too late. He's already been extended. So that's out the window. I really do think the reality of the situation at this point is basically just wait until Bjarnason's ready and just hope that he ends up being what he's being. Is he like 100% not going to be in the NHL this year?
Bjarnason?
Is he still too young?
Bjarnason's not going to be in the NHL unless very drastically bad injury luck hits the team.
Everybody gets hurt.
I'd be shocked. Bjarnason, he's young. 20.
He's got to be in his 20s.
Is he 23? Is it 23?
Okay. So he's a little bit older than I actually thought. I thought maybe
he might actually be younger. Hold on, let me see. He's 20. I'm totally wrong. Bjarnason's 20.
Oh, he is 20. Okay, so right.
So and he just
like
turned 20. He turned
Fleury.
20. He turned 20 in June, which is why they're trying to shelter him, and that's why, oddly enough, Kolosov being down there with him isn't a bad thing. Kolosov's also not that old either. So, and you also happen to have the guy that's everybody's darling right now, Zavragin, who's been tearing it up in the KHL. So Kolosov is 23. Bjarnason is 20. Zavragin, I think, turned 20 last season, right? Yeah, he turned 20 in August. So they have, in theory, right? If you go macro view and you say, all right, Vladar is going to be the backup. He's here for another year. If Ersson sucks, restricted free agency comes up, you offer him a qualifying offer or not, whatever. Maybe another team decides they want Ersson, you get something back or you trade his rights. And then Ersson's off the books for 26-27. Will they feel good enough about Kolosov after a year in the AHL being their starter next year? I'd be kind of surprised. Would I think that they'd want to put a 21-year-old Carson Bjarnason in as the starting netminder a year from now? I can't imagine. If Igor Zavragin has an incredible KHL season, making it back-to-back incredible seasons in the K, and he's able to somehow finagle his way out of a contract that he does all by himself, if he's able to do that, like, would they want to bring over a 21-year-old Zavragin to be the starter next year? I'm not so sure. I guess the positive that they probably look at is they don't have anybody locked up long-term that's going to block any of those young guys. So if a Kolosov, a Bjarnason, a Zavragin really does stand out in a significantly meaningful way, the job could be theirs. But this year's just tough. You know, if the idea is that it really was just meant to be a stopgap for one of those guys to take the step and claim the job in 26-27, I guess that's fine. I guess. But then you're probably putting yourself in position to be closer to the lottery than you do the playoffs.
Yeah, but don't you want to be there anyway?
Okay, so hypothetically, would it be better for the Flyers to be in the bottom of the standings again and have a chance at Gavin McKenna? Yeah, of course it would.
So there you go.
Of course it would. But I really don't think that's where their head's at. I really think that they believe they're going to be a bubble playoff team. And I think that like there are enough things that kind of point in the direction of that might not being total bullshit that I still expect them to be somewhere in or around the playoff picture. I just don't foresee a scenario, barring significant injury, where this team is in like the top 5 of the lottery next year. I just don't see it.
Well,
Now,
I mean, we've
go ahead.
had how many times have we had Briere on the Press Row show? Like, he's not a dummy.
Yeah.
We know that. So I that's why I actually disagree with you. I think he recognizes what the team is right now, and I actually don't think he thinks that they're going to make a push for the playoffs. Now, I may be wrong about that. That's just my gut feeling.
But then they also bring up constantly the idea, well, not the idea, well, the realization that they're going to have so much money in the offseason coming off of the books.
Correct.
And then they want to try to bank on one of those big free agents. But, surprise, surprise, Kirill Kaprizov signed the biggest contract in NHL history. And now one of those big free agents is off the thing. So you would think finishing bottom of the standings, getting another high lottery pick, and getting another very young, maybe franchise-changing player would also help, just in the case that you don't get one of those guys. Because it's going to be, now with Kaprizov off, it's really just, okay, you got to rely on McDavid and Eichel hitting the market now, which I think
there's also no guarantee that either of them would give a legitimate thought here. And by the way, as fun as it is to think about Connor McDavid being a Flyer, what's the thing that screwed Edmonton? It's been the guy in net. It's been Skinner.
That's also true.
Is he going to want to come to Philadelphia where there is no franchise netminder? Right? Is he going to want to come to Philadelphia and become the highest paid player in the National Hockey League? Does he want to come play here and have a guy like, I don't know, Zavragan, Kolosov, Bjarnason in net, or Vladar, and say, we're going to go win a cup there? Like, I just don't see it. The Kaprizov thing actually maybe helps them get a little bit of clarity, right? This is the kind of clarity that they needed. All right, one of the big pieces is off the board. If they were loading up for 2026 free agency, that kind of deals a bit of a blow to the plan. And maybe it gets them more active in the trade market. Like, maybe that's where this goes. I don't necessarily think that Kaprizov coming off the board means, all right, they went from thinking, we're going to try to make the playoffs, and then in the offseason, we're going to go out and get a Kaprizov or a McDavid-level player. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I do see a scenario to them saying, all right, free agents, a lot of times, the best unrestricted free agents don't actually make it to free agency. We have to pivot more to the trade market. I saw people, by the way, saying on Twitter after Kaprizov went off, oh, well, the Flyers never explicitly said that they were going to target 2026 for free agency. And I will point back to times that Briere and Jones were on Snow the Goalie, where they effectively did the winks and nods that like, oh, well, we have a lot of money coming off the books in 2026. What the fuck do you think they're going to do with that money?
Yes.
Like, are they going to like go on a spending spree? Is it going to be like supermarket sweeper around here? Like, no, the plan was to go after some free agent. I saw people saying, well, that gives them the flexibility to go out and make a big trade. Well, maybe it does. Maybe like, okay, sure. It gives you some cap flexibility, but what's that going to look like? They clearly wanted to go big fish, like big game hunting or whatever in 2026. One of the big game animals is now off the table, which isn't exactly ideal. Now, before we go, there's one other guy who's become a lightning rod of controversy. I think he will be for much of the season. Owen Tippett, a guy who this team really does believe in. He was the centerpiece of the return for Claude Giroux. I don't see it. The speed is there. The ability to put up the occasional highlight goal is there. They've been trying to play him on a line with Trevor Zegras and Matvei Michkov, and it doesn't make sense, and it ain't working. They're playing, like, Tippett is unbelievably fast. Zegras is fine. Mishkov's not a fast player. I don't know if they thought, like, Clash of Styles can work, but it ain't working right now. If Luchanko makes the team, Luchanko looks incredibly fast. Could they play Luchanko and Tippett on, like, a team that's all gas, no brakes? Maybe. But I don't see the fit here. And for a guy who, like, maybe becomes a 25, 30 goal scorer, maybe, who oftentimes can't even hit the fucking net, like, that's kind of frustrating. And I pointed out on Twitter today, he's making $6.2 million which makes him the third highest paid forward on the team behind Konechny and Couturier. And it's only $50,000 less than Travis Sanheim is making. Okay, so like he could have been the third highest paid player, period, on the team. And like, I don't see it. Am I crazy?
So like, if you're asking me, would you trade him? I'm willing to have the conversation, but you like, that's a pretty broad, like hypothetical. Like, give me a potential scenario then. Like, what are we getting in return?
I would like to see them try to get a defenseman of any variety. It could be like a decent enough stopgap defenseman with like 2 years on a contract. I'm not expecting them to be able to go out and get like a young stud, number one pair upside guy. I would actually like to see them shed the money. Doesn't mean like get dog shit back, but like I wouldn't be as concerned with like, all right, you're trading a young winger who could maybe be a 30-goal scorer. We have to go get a bona fide number one, top pair upside guy. I could see like getting a solid second pair defenseman and saying, all right, cool. Include a little bit of money.
Then I don't know I would do that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a guy that 3 years ago had 27 goals, 2 years ago had 28. Last year, a big regression. I understand that, but here's the other thing. You guys may disagree. I'm willing to just pretend that season didn't happen because of who the coach was.
Who was the coach? I don't remember.
I can't remember his name. I'm willing to.
Amedeo, do you want to buy into this 9-goal regression down to 20 goals a season ago is all Torts' fault?
The 999 regression? Is it that?
Oh no! Okay. I like it. All right. Well,
I'm also like, I don't like trades as much as you do, Russ. I'm usually pretty conservative about that, generally speaking, because I worry that you're going to be trading a guy who's 26. He's turning 27 in February. You're trading away a guy who really has, in my opinion, has 30, call me crazy, 35 goal potential for a defenseman that you think is just going to be on this second pairing. I'm hesitant to, like I said, you can talk me into it depending on what they're getting back, and then I can decide then.
What if you're getting a bubble playoff team's first round pick, and now it becomes a lottery ticket for Gavin McKenna?
So they would have 2 chances to get him?
Yes.
That's assuming the Flyers don't make the playoffs, but sure. But they are going to make the playoffs.
I mean, even with two ping pong balls, I don't know.
This is what I also think about. You're so clogged at the wings in general. And you're thinking about, because when I looked at that line yesterday with him, Zegras, and Michkov, they don't mesh well together. I was thinking about put Forster up there. Maybe Forster, because I think Forster plays at a better pace that can match Zegras and Michkov's. You put Tippett on the third line, but then I also think to myself, okay, you're so clogged at the wings in general in the prospect system and on the NHL roster. Porter Martone's going to be on the team next year, most likely. And
Alex Bump might be on the team.
And Bump might be on the roster too. So you're going to have to find a way to make some sacrifices on this roster, whether it's a player that you may not want to trade or something like that. And Tippett might be that expendable guy. You're not going to trade Konechny. You're not going to trade Michkov. You're not going to trade Porter Martone. You're probably not going to trade Tyson Forster, I would assume at this point. But
it very much feels like they're invested in Forster more than just about anybody else on the team.
Yeah, and Alex Bump, I don't think they would want to give up on him too early. And granted, he's never even played an NHL game yet.
There's also not a lot of trade value there. So yeah, like he'll be around.
So you're thinking about maybe an expendable guy on the roster that might be Owen Tippett. And teams with the contracts that are being signed right now in the NHL, especially recently, you're seeing some guys that are getting $9 million a year that might not deserve it. Tippett's making $6 million. That might be attractive to some teams since it's more of a team-friendly contract in this day of the NHL.
Which is maybe how you're able to get a better asset out of a team. Right, like when the Flyers signed Tippett to a deal of that length at $6.2 million, I thought it was nuts. Right, like I said, like I don't understand it. And even now, with the cap going up, just because the cap goes up doesn't mean you sign guys to stupid deals just because you have the money to burn. Now, in his case, it's a fixed cost. Could you get a better asset? Could you get an additional asset out of a team? Maybe. Like maybe you take that second pair defenseman and a pick if Tippett is like having a strong enough start to the year. I don't ultimately think they're going to deal Tippett in season. I think it would be like a next year thing. But like this is kind of his last chance in a lot of ways to prove that like he's the guy they thought they were getting from Florida. Because like if we take Andrew's ideology here and his idea that it all came down to Torts maybe not meshing well with Tippett, that's fine for the first year. Like that's fine for last year, but it's the first year of the Rick Tocchet system. And if other guys start thriving, even like if you think about that Brink line with Forster and Cates, those guys thrived under Torts, especially last year. There were some guys on the team that started to hit that next level. If after a first year of Rick Tocchet, you don't see Tippett fundamentally change his game, get more pucks on net, become closer to a 30-goal scorer, that's almost like a I can't think of the word. That's an indictment. There it is. It's an indictment. That's an indictment on the player.
We got there.
I know. I was thinking of condemnation, but I'm like, that's not right. It's more of an indictment on the player at that point. We'll see what happens, guys. All right. So we've now talked successfully about the Phillies, the 999 plan, VJ Edgecombe, the Flyers. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on before we leave?
10 o'clock tonight on NHL Network, Gavin McKenna's debut. Penn State versus Arizona State. Number 5 versus number 14. Great night for college hockey. It's going to be.
I was always asking, why is it at 10 o'clock? You answered it's Arizona. I was like,
they're in
Arizona,
Arizona, yeah.
Brutal.
I think both tonight and tomorrow night are both going to be on NHL Network. Look, I mean, they know who butters their bread. Gavin he's must-watch TV right now, so this is going to be good.
Who is more likely to have the biggest impact for their team, McKenna or Martone?
What do you at the NHL level?
No. I mean, like this year in college hockey.
Oh,
who do you think puts up the numbers that makes you go, ooh, that's a stud? I think they're both going to have really good seasons, but do you think that one is going to stand out significantly more than the other?
I mean, Martone may end up making a bigger impact just because I think he's on a worse team. But McKenna, I think, is a better player.
I think Martone's also more physically built for college. So maybe you'll see the numbers reflect that, but McKenna's going to score just because he's that talented.
Potential Hobie big. Look, I hope Porter Martone scores 9 goals every game and then you lose 10-9.
Wow. Oh, because of the Michigan.
The rivalry.
And then he finishes second in the Hobie Baker behind Gavin McKenna.
No, he would be pumping Porter Martone's tires if he went to Penn State to play with Gavin McKenna. Now he's
because he thought Martone was going to Penn State.
He should
and
have.
Then he found out that Martone was not going to Penn State.
And then he pulled the rug. He pulled the rug out from under me. But that's
did he though? Did he though?
He kind of did.
Did he pull the rug out from under? Did he though?
He kind of did.
It ruined a potential partnership between Intern Andrew and Porter Martone for a season.
You know what though? I heard that there's still a pending application to be the bag carrier for Gavin McKenna up at Penn State. Intern Andrew has put in his application. He hasn't heard back yet, but there's still a chance.
I mean, if I have to, Russ, if I have to, can I do Press Row Show remote?
No.
Really?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to figure it out. I already have to deal with one person on the team who might have to do some remotes to start the season because he has to go cover the Phillies.
That's the crazy. So our home opener is game 1 of the NLCS.
Yeah.
So if they're in Milwaukee, does Ant still have to be there?
His company is sending him to every playoff game.
So he's going.
So he'll be out in LA.
He's going to be Hollywood Ant.
If they play, he'll be Hollywood Ant. And if they go play Milwaukee, he'll be in Milwaukee. And if they go to the World Series and they're up in Toronto, he'll be up in Toronto. I don't actually know if they would let Ant into Canada. I don't know.
No, they would let him in. They just wouldn't let him back in the United States.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, it's time for us to go. Thank you to Amedeo. Thank you to Andrew. You can go find them on Twitter. Their handles are there on the screen. Amedeo Gracia 98, Intern Andrew. Hockey season is close. There's going to be a lot of hilarity. There's going to be some hilarity down on the Press Row Show as long as some people sign a freaking document that continues to take longer and longer than it should. It's no big deal. It's not like hockey season starts next week. It's not like we'd, have to be in the building within like the next week or two.
Are they,
with a contract in hand?
Are they
it's fine.
Are they on top of the equipment? Because remember, they just straight up lost our tripod at the end of last year.
And
So
on
we,
that
like,
bombshell, it's time to end the show for today. We'll talk about that one off the air. I think they have the equipment. I hope they do.
All right.
I'll tell you who's got some great equipment. The Russ Joy Show. Thanks for being here. Do us a favor if you can. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. You can go subscribe to the show over on Apple Music. Or no, Apple Podcasts. I don't know if Apple Music. Does Apple Music have podcasts? I don't know. Over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Do me a favor, though. There are some no good people, some horrible, terrible people who left a very sad review over on Apple Podcasts. I can't read it. I can only read 5-star reviews on the show. But they've pulled the average of the show down to 4 stars. And I don't know about you, but it makes me sad. I shouldn't even care. But I opened up Apple Podcasts and I felt a little bit sad in the inside. So do us a favor. Go over, leave a 5-star review or something. But until Monday, when I'll be out in Las Vegas and God knows how the show is going to work. Until Monday, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Talk to each and every one of you on Monday. Let's hope the Phillies do well. The Union wrap up the Supporter Shield. The Eagles get a big win. And the Sixers don't fall apart. Talk to all of you very, very soon. Bye now.